And I hope some people's eyes open up with this documentary here.
Yeah.
You know, this is one of the reasons why I was so adamant about doing the document for this young man. You know what I mean? To get this out there, this message, it needs to be told.
Yeah.
People need to hear it.
So Norm, how are you?
I'm doing fine today. Little weather's, you know, but sitting here and we're going to have a good conversation.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me about yourself. Where are you from originally?
Well, I was born here in Baltimore City. You know, I was raised by, you know, semi-strict Catholic family. My mom was the patriarch of the family, you know. Lovely lady.
What was your relationship like with them growing up?
Well, I had a really good relationship until, you know what I mean, I reached a certain age and I just went rebellious, you know what I mean? It wasn't my mother or my father's fault or anything for the way, you know, I've done some negotiating in life. It's more or less, you know what I mean, you know, was the rebellious part of me.
Rebellious how?
Oh, you know, after a while, you know what I mean, I started liking the streets more, you know what I mean, with the, you know, the way, you know, my friends would treat me and stuff, you know what I mean, because at home, you know, you got mom and dad there, but, you know what I mean, at home, out on the streets, you know, you're more friendly with people and, you know, people kind of like you and stuff, so, you know, you want to stay more on the streets.
What age was that at?
I was like 12, 13 years old.
Started hanging out in the street?
Started hanging out in the streets.
What did your parents say about that? Were they strict on that, or did they kind of let you kind of
They
run
was
loose?
very strict about, you know what I mean, that, and they kind of like, you know, tried to pull me towards them more, you know what I mean, to go to church and stuff like that, but I like the streets. I wanted to be, you know, that well-known guy and, you know, do
Just
the
popular.
things. Just be popular, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What was high school like for you?
Well, high school, there wasn't no high school for me, sir.
None?
I think I did the 7th grade about 3 times.
Did you?
And then I just went to the streets fully.
Yeah. What was life like for you when you went on the streets?
Well, at first, you know what I mean, it started, you know, having fun with alcohol and marijuana. And, you know, then the girls came and then, you know, we started driving cars and really had fun then. We wanted to test drive every neighbor's car. I don't think the neighbors liked it, but we sort of liked it.
Yeah, no, I get it. What was your parents', I guess, interaction with you throughout that period? Were they trying to reach out to you? Were they trying to like pull you back in, or were they kind of just like let him do what he's gonna do?
The parents was, you know, they wanted me to do the right things and everything.
Yeah.
And I guess I thought I was doing the right things, you know what I mean, just being a normal child. But I found out I wasn't, you know what I mean? I was breaking laws and stuff, you know what I mean? And that's when everything went haywire.
You an only child?
No, I had a brother and a sister.
Do you still communicate with them, or?
My brother died of brain cancer 10 months before I came home from prison, you know what I mean?
What'd you go to prison for?
I was in prison for an armed robbery, and it went bad, and I shot a guy in the face.
Yeah.
So
Did he die? Or?
No, he didn't die. When he came to court, I asked him for forgiveness, and he forgave me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a big thing, you know what I mean?
How old were you when that happened?
I was in my 30s.
In your 30s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life done, you know what I mean, played a big part in my, you know what I mean? But I think I was retarded, you know what I mean? I think you know what I mean, I am, you know, a part of retardation, you know, from drugs and stuff at an early age, you know, it hinders your, you know, your learning abilities and stuff like that. And I really think that, you know what I mean, I was in a retarded state, you know what I mean, from, you know, the drugs I was doing and stuff, heroin and stuff. And that's why I really did the crime that I did, you know what I mean, for drugs.
What age were you when you started using drugs?
Well, I think I was like 15 years old.
15.
My uncles was on heroin, and I would follow them around in old houses and stuff, and I would steal the cottons out of their cookers, and I would save them, and I would have 4 or 5 cottons, and I would suck on them. And I didn't realize that I was getting high. You know what I mean? Then when one day and I didn't have none, I was ill. And I had the heebie-jeebies, and I was like, wow, what's wrong with me? And I asked my uncle, they said, yeah, boy, you're ill on heroin. I'm like, what? Yeah, you gotta get some dope in you. I'm like, huh? So, you know what I mean? Uncle gave me a little bump.
So it started out snorting
Started out.
and then moved to the needles.
Moved to needles, and any way you can get heroin in your body, if I could shove it up my ass with my thumb, I'd get high and I'd do that.
What does being dope sick feel like, if you could put it into words?
Dope sick is terrible. Your skin feels clammy, you get sweaty, and you know, you start sneezing and you're yawning and nose running and eyes running. It's not a good scene. Back hurting, and believe me, everything that's fun in life, turning upside down to the opposite side. That's what that is in life. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. I wouldn't recommend my enemy to be dope sick.
How long have you been on drugs?
I would say I was on drugs for at least, when I was in prison, I was on drugs, baby. I'm 56 years old right now. I just turned 56 in December. And I would say out of those 56 years, I've been on drugs at least 20 years of that.
Yeah. Have you had periods of time where you've gotten clean, or?
Yes, I have.
What's the longest you've been clean?
About 3 years.
3 years?
On the streets.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful.
Yeah. What made you relapse? Just pressure?
Well, a lot of times it's just, you know what I mean, you're lonely, you're bored, you know, so you go pick up the funnest thing you know.
Yeah.
My funnest thing is heroin, you know what I mean? I never really found anything in life really, you know what I mean, fun without heroin.
What was the 15 years in prison like for you?
Well, in the beginning it was kind of hard because, you know, you're establishing and stuff. And, you know what I mean, just being lonely. But prison is not a fun place to be in. You know, I can thank prison for education because I am a very well-educated guy now. You know, because I went to school, you know, as far as getting my elementary school, my life skills. Now I am a guy with a high school diploma.
That's awesome.
I have 2 degrees.
Congratulations.
I have a degree in business management, and I have addictions counselor specialist degree. So,
have you ever thought about trying to maybe get into that field, or?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
And I am well known on the street for my advice. A lot of people come to me, and you know, I talk to a lot of people on the streets now. You know what I mean? You know, if it isn't Christ, you know what I mean? Because I am a Christian now. You know what I mean? I do go to church regularly out here, even though I'm homeless. Every Sunday, you can find me in the Garden Church, which is on Madison Street. And I do go to church, and if you want to catch me talking nowadays, it'd be about Christ or being clean, you know, because I am nowadays, you know what I mean, clean and have Christ in me.
What's a typical day like for you on the street? Like, where do you find shelter and food and things like that at? Panhandle, or?
Well, I get up in the morning about 5:30, 6 o'clock. And
where do you sleep at?
I sleep at the courthouse on the heat grate.
Gotcha.
I make me a pop tent. And I sleep there, you know what I mean, 6, 7 hours, and then I'm up. I go to 7-Eleven or Dunkin' Donuts and bum change and get coffee and sandwiches and stuff like that.
Does it get lonely out there?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm by myself most of the time. You know what I mean? I have a couple of friends that I hang with. But most of the time, it's a lonely life, you know, being homeless. And, you know, that's why I think a lot of homeless people talk to themselves.
Yeah.
You know, because they're lonely.
Do you still have any family left, or?
Well, the last person that was alive was my younger brother, and he died 10 months before I got out of prison. But I do have an older son and an older daughter, which I see my daughter on my birthday in December. And, you know what I mean, as a result of my, you know what I mean, of my bringing her up, which I didn't. I was never in my children's life because of prison and stuff. You know what I mean? And that's a very lonely life too. You know what I mean? Because your family life, you don't have a family life. You know, when you're in prison and homeless, you know, you don't have anybody. You know, you grow further and further apart from them people because, you know what I mean, it's the lifestyles. that you live is so separate from,
What they live.
with the normal society.
Yeah.
And then that's really the lonely part about it too, because you live a total different life. And then with, communicating with, the last family members that I have, which is my daughter and my son, sometimes it's hard to communicate with them because, they live such a different lifestyle than me. I just gotta, break it down to them sometimes.
Are they in Maryland?
Yeah, they're right here in Baltimore, and I see them,
What's your
once in a while.
relationship like with them when you see them? Are good, or
It's,
is it kind of strange?
Hey, how you doing? We speak, like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
I would speak, regularly. We have, open relationship. It's not, a real close knit.
Right.
Because, the between of time, you come to prison, you'll get out of prison, you maybe mess up, screw up while you're on parole, and they'll send you back for a few years, and then it's just an ongoing. I was so glad when it was over with that, oh man, that was such a relief when that procedure of in and out, the revolving door, recidivism, when you screw up out here in the streets and you have to go back for a couple of years. It was just so,
Like a relief.
Yeah, it was so relief when it was all over with.
When you were using drugs, what did you do for money? Just steal and panhandle and things like
Mostly
that?
stole. I would rob cars at nighttime, or, go in the stores and steal items and stuff, grocery stores, steal meats, sell the meats. I would more or less have, people I go to, people, where, in the morning I could go to you and say, well, what do you need today? You might say you need 100 bottles of shampoo. You're going to give me $1 a bottle. So I'd start hitting the dollar stores, shampoos.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go in and get a bag full, 10, 15 of them.
What's the craziest thing you've seen being out on the street?
Wasn't too long ago.
Was it?
And you probably read it in the news. A girl shot another girl right here on the block, Baltimore block.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't think I saw
A
that.
girl came down there, and no, she shot herself. Excuse me, she shot herself. She was pulling out the gun to shoot the other girl and shot herself in the chest and killed herself.
Wow.
That was the craziest thing I've seen in a while. The girl pulled out the gun and shot herself in the chest and killed herself.
Wow.
She didn't kill the other girl.
Yeah.
Now you tell me. She was pulling out the gun, and the gun goes to her solar plexus, and she pulls the trigger.
Before
And
she had
kills
a chance
herself.
to kill the girl.
Right, she was going to pull the gun out and kill this other girl. There was a beef that went on down the Baltimore block. And I don't know if there was prostitutes, I don't know what, but this is the craziest thing I've seen in a good while.
Do you feel like there's enough places for people that are homeless and addicted to drugs to go? Do you feel like there's enough resources, or do you think that there should be more?
There needs to be more resources. Baltimore City has a lot of problem with drugs.
Yeah.
And there's not enough resources for the people. They need to really, set up more resources, because the ones they have, it just ain't enough.
What do you think the biggest lesson you learned in life is?
Probably mine would be, listen to your parents. Your parents are just trying to instill character in you, moral values, principles. That's the best thing they're trying to do. They're just trying to make the best for you, trying to teach you the things that you're going to need, life skills. And I think if I would have paid attention to my parents more, my life wouldn't have ended up in the situations that it did. Because they gave me the keys, I just never used them.
Do you dwell on that a lot? Like, is that constantly in your head? Is that a thought of yours, or have you kind of moved past that? Or
I've moved past it because I'm at a state now that I'm responsible for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How do you keep warm out there? Just steam grates?
I run in stores, stay in the store for 5 or 10 minutes. I go in a subway station, stand there. Sometimes I'll get on the trains. Sometimes I'll catch a free bus. have hand warmers, you know what I mean, to put in my pockets. But it's cold, you know. I've got layers, 2 T-shirts, this hoodie, another hoodie, a coat. Yeah, I put a face mask on, hat on, hoods on. Yeah, it's cold. Summertime, it's hot, so we can't beat the elements. You know, I'm not as cold as the people that live in houses because, like, my body temperature, like, you know, once you're out here for a while, it's like you get, you know, your body becomes adjusted and everything, and it's like, you know, you adapt. It's like evolution. It's like when I was in the prisons, like I was at the older state prisons where, you know what I mean, they didn't have a whole lot of heat inside the prisons. They had plastic tubing inside the floor. And I think they would like heat that up and the heat would come up through the floors. But most of the time, you know, you were sitting in your cell wrapped up in your coat, or you had your blankets moving through your window to keep the cold air out. You know, so pretty much we adapted to the elements that we was in. So therefore, a lot of times, you know, when it's cold to you, it's not all the time cold to me.
Right.
Because, you know, my body has more or less, you know, adapted.
Right.
A lot of times.
When you went to prison, did you stay out of trouble in there, or were there some things that happened in there as well?
Well, a lot of times I got in trouble inside of prison because, you know what I mean, you know, you didn't have everything. You know, then the gangs came in, and the gangs were terrible in prisons. When the gangs came through, they terrorized prison, you know. But, you know, I've learned trades inside of prison, and, you know, they have odd jobs they give you and stuff. You know, when I went to college while I was in prison, they would pay me to go to college. So I was like in a win-win situation. A lot of times, you know what I mean? Got paid to go to school. Well, I started going to school just to get days, you know, because you accumulate good conduct credits, which is days off your sentence. So I started going to school because it was 10 days. And I was like, wow, something just happened, you know what I mean? Like a light or something clicked in me when I started learning a lot, you know what I mean? And I was like, wow. And then I got my high school diploma, and I was like, wow, I can do college. You know, because the teacher in there was like, Norm, you ready for college? I was like, huh? College? Just now got my high school diploma. And then I was thinking about it, like, wow, the teacher said I'm not ready for college. If she sees that in me, then I guess, you know what I mean, she's probably right then.
I see it in you too.
And I was like, wow. So, you know what I mean, I was like, okay, I'll sign up. You know what I mean? So I signed up for business management because I never touched a computer. You know what I mean? When I got locked up, there was none. So
was that hard to learn? Everything new, like technology and how fast it moved and everything?
Well, it was kind of baffling at first, you know what I mean, to learn to type. You know, because a lot of men don't learn to type, and you know what I mean, in criminal fields, I don't think we learn to type too much. So I was, you know, the keyboard and everything was kind of, you know what I mean, you know, funny for me. But you know what I mean, I had a couple of the typing courses on the computer, touch and type and stuff like that, and pretty soon I was 52 words a minute.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, wow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, now I can look and not have to worry about where my fingers were, and I can type. And I was like, wow, and I could just sit there and watch this is how I learned, you know what I mean? I would sit there and watch closed caption on the television, and I would sit here on my lap with a keyboard, newspaper, you know what I mean? Because we wasn't allowed to take the keyboards back to our cells or anything. We did that in the classroom. But I would sit there on a keyboard piece of paper and watch my closed caption. And that was one of my learning processes of the keyboard. And you know what I mean? It was wild, you know what I mean? Because I was like, you know what I mean? I'm sitting here learning, you know, at the same time I'm in my cell. I was like, wow, you know what I mean? And I would show some of the guys and they would laugh. I would say, okay, I'm up to 52 words.
Yeah. Practice makes perfect.
Right. I mean, you know, there was some women that couldn't do 52 words, and here I am, a man sitting in prison doing 52 words a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
When you first got out, what did you come home to? Did you go to a halfway house?
I came home to absolutely nothing. I came home to the streets.
Yeah.
I had $50 in my pocket
Yeah.
and what I had on. You know what I mean? And that really took the cake. After all them years of being in prison, I had $50. And that was strange.
Yeah. What did you do when you got out? Like just resort back to, stealing and things like that to feed yourself?
Yeah, I tried I tried the Baltimore, shelters and, where the homeless people go. But it was always a lot of confusion in them places. The people there was, sick and stuff, They would talk to themselves and I wasn't used to being around that. So I would eat my meals in some of the places and get away from there as quick as possible because them kind of people didn't fit me. And I was like, wow, And then, like, I would just try to find other ways instead of going to them places where the homeless was because I didn't like, the environments that they was in. So I would hang out in front of the Dunkin' Donuts and try to bum enough change to get a sandwich, stuff like that. So I wouldn't hang out at them places, I tried to, do other things besides what they was doing.
Yeah. When you sit out in front of these stores and people walk by you and everything, what's the typical reaction that the average person gives you? Just keeps walking, or do they acknowledge you, or like how do they speak to you? How do they treat you?
A lot of people are mean. Some people are giving. I have non-givers, I have givers, I have mean people. I have some people just tell you get a job,
Yeah.
No, I don't have anything for you. I'm accepted. I accept whatever, it brings because, I know that it's yours. I no longer want to take anything from anyone. Prison has, changed those things in me. I don't steal anymore. I would rather ask you for change to buy a sandwich or a cup of coffee. My life has got easier. I thank God. Out here on the street, you really have to trust in God.
Yeah.
Really. I think if I wasn't a Christian, I think it'd be a lot harder for me out here.
Yeah.
My Christian ways really helped me out a lot.
That's awesome. I'm a Christian as well. Is it hard to maintain hope, when it's below freezing outside or when it's really hot outside and you're homeless and you don't have anywhere to go or nobody to talk to? Is it hard to hold on to that hope, or is it just something that you've come to terms with and kind of accepted at this point and it's become normal?
Well, I don't do suicide.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I more or less deal with it.
Yeah.
I believe, that, just cause, the world's a wreck right now don't mean it's going to be wrecked 5 minutes from now. I truly believe that, things are changing. The murder rate's not. That's going higher. But things on the streets are changing,
What would you like to see happen to change for the better as far as the homeless population, people addicted to
more
drugs?
resources. We really need more resources. That's the things out in the streets. Just people really need other people to see eye openers.
Yeah.
Really need eye openers. And I hope some people's eyes open up with this documentary here.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why I was so adamant about doing the document for this young man. To get this out there, this message, it needs to be told.
Yeah.
People need to hear it. There needs to be more resources for the homeless, drug addicts, just the poor people, period. Mr. Biden's on a good foot. I really give it to Mr. Biden, our president. He's on a good foot. He came in there and he says, this is what the people need, and he's really for the people. I guess it's because he's from Delaware, here in this eastern shore, or eastern coast.
Yeah.
Period. He probably thinks like us, so he's really doing something for the people. Really. I say with this president coming in, there has been some change. You know what I mean? You know, the last president, well, we had a lot of turmoil.
Yeah. Well, Norm, I appreciate you sharing your story.
I appreciate you asking me.
Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
Well, like I said, I just hope somebody gets something good out of this. You know, I hope this touches somebody. I hope they learn from it. Life's experience, you know, just my life's experience, you know, can help you, you know. And I'm blessed, and I want other people to be blessed. That's the thing. This documentary is a blessing, you know. I hope it blesses everybody else who watches it. And thank you for your time.
I keep you in my prayers. Thank you for sharing your story, Norm.
Thank you.